We've talked about the need for appropriate diction and style in formal letters, as well as the importance of using the correct layout if you want to make a good impression. What we're going to do in this section of the lesson is look at a type of formal letter that you will need to write in just a few years' time. A letter applying for a job. When you apply for a job, you will need to send off your curriculum vitae or CV. It summarizes all your achievements, qualifications, and work experience. You should also send a covering letter with your CV that briefly tells the potential employer about you and why you're applying for the job. The chances of you being the only person applying for the job are very slim. If the company that is hiring receives many CVs, chances are they will only look at the ones with good covering letters. That is why covering letters are so important, and that's why they're the focus of this lesson. So, in this lesson, we will go through setting out a covering letter, information to include in an application. Let's begin by talking about layout. We've talked about layout in the formal letter. Do you remember? It includes your address in the top right-hand corner. Then the address of the person that you're writing to is set against the left-hand margin, followed by a greeting such as Dear Mrs. Morewa, as well as the subject of the letter, which is underlined. Once you've got the layout right, consider all of the other details that will help to make a good impression. Remember, first impressions count. If your letter of application contains mistakes or is messy, the potential employer will assume that you are careless or untidy. As a result, they are unlikely to read your CV, let alone interview you. To avoid making simple mistakes, use the following checklist before sending your letter off. Have I enclosed all the information that was requested? Reread the advertisement and check that you have followed all the instructions correctly. If you've been specifically asked to send a 2-page CV, don't send every detail about your life. And if you've been asked to send references or give references, make sure that you put names of people that can be contacted, as well as making sure that their contact details are correct. The next point to check is, have I used the correct names and titles? Make sure this information is correct because people may take offense if you misspell their names or if you refer to a Mr. as a Mrs. And double check the advertisement. If you were asked to send your application to the Human Resources Manager, don't send it or address it to the Personnel Officer. Another point to check is my spelling and typing perfect. If you are unsure of the spelling of any word, double check in the dictionary. Remember, not even spell check will pick up mistakes if you write the wrong word. So check and check again and even get someone else to check your letter for you. And the last point on our checklist, does my application look neat? If your letter prints skew or the ink smudges, print it again. And also, make sure that the text is big and bold enough for easy reading, especially if you're going to fax it. If you're going to post or hand deliver your application, use a big envelope so that you don't have to scrunch up your document. Here is the checklist again. Include all the necessary information, use the correct names and titles, check that your spelling and typing is correct, and make sure your application is neat. Well, those are all the technical details, but what about content? What can you tell a potential employer about yourself that will make her want to employ you, especially if you've just left school and don't have any formal work experience yet? When you leave school, you will not have any past employment or tertiary training to write about, but you can include other positive information, character traits, and experiences. Here are some things that you can focus on in your letter of application. Your positive character traits. Tell them that you are willing to learn and that you are excited about entering the job market. Also, ask your school principal or your favorite teacher to write you a testimonial. They will hopefully say what a hardworking, reliable, enthusiastic person you are. The next thing you write about is your academic achievement. If you can speak fluently in more than one language, it is bound to count in your favor. Also, if you have won any prizes at school or done well in a specific subject, be sure to mention this. Any good maths or accounting skills will be to your advantage in any job in the business sector. Then, what are your special skills? If you are computer literate or able to type, mention this when applying for any job, as more and more jobs are requiring some computer use. Also, mention that you have a driver's license or a first aid certificate. Even if these are not requirements for the job, they may give you an advantage over another candidate. Be sure to mention any leadership positions you may have held. For example, if you were a prefect, a member of a learner representative council, or a sports captain, these positions will show a potential employer that you've held positions of authority and that you are respected by your peers. Have you ever done any extracurricular activity? If you've played sport at school or participated in cultural activities anywhere, mention some of these in your application. If, for example, you say that you were in charge of painting the scenery for the school play, it shows that you are reliable, creative, and you are able to lead a team. Also, tell them about your part-time employment. Nowadays, many learners have part-time jobs while still at school. Not only does this help to earn pocket money, it also equips learners with valuable skills and experience. You may think that being a waiter has nothing to do with what you want to do after school, but it helps you learn valuable people skills. A potential employer might be very impressed by the fact that you were a cashier, and this shows that you were trusted with money and able to interact with customers. Well, now that you've got some good ideas, let's put them together in an example of a good covering letter for a school leaver. Let's imagine our applicant Thandi Nongogo is applying for a job as a receptionist. Let's go through the letter that she might write, paragraph by paragraph. She might begin like this. Dear Mrs. Morewa, application for position as receptionist. I am applying for the receptionist's position that was advertised in the Star Workplace on 5th January 2003. It is always a good idea to mention where you saw the advert or heard about the position. As you will see from my CV, I worked as a shop assistant throughout my school career. This helped me to develop good customer relations skills. Here, she's mentioning the work experience that she does have and specifically what she learned from this. And she goes on to say, and I was awarded a certificate for Casual of the Year from Possess Boutique for my contribution to their sales. It is not bragging to mention what awards you've earned. The aim of this letter is to sell yourself. And Thandi mentioning what awards she's earned shows that she was hardworking and dedicated. At school, I took computer studies and typing, and I'm able to touch type. I am familiar with word processing and spreadsheets and am eager to develop my computer skills further. Here, Thandi mentions her skills, particularly those that would come in handy in the workplace. She also shows that she's eager to learn. I would appreciate it if you would consider my application and contact me to arrange for an interview. Yours sincerely, Thandi Nongogo. Note the formality of the diction and style that Thandi uses. Letters of application should always be polite, and remember, show that you are enthusiastic. Well, now that you know how to write a good application letter, consider writing an application letter for a part-time job. You can earn money and gain experience at the same time. Goodbye.